Well, the lead of the film is Thales Cavalcanti. He had never acted before. That's his very first film. I mean, he never had any acting experience at all. Basically, he was a student from the school where we shot, which is São Bento. It's called Saint Benedict's. It's a very Catholic, very traditional school. It's the only school in the country, I believe, where they don't accept girls. It's an all-boys school. It's the only all-boys school in the country, I think. And I went there my whole life. And there's something very specific to the Benedictine students, you know. And I thought that the only fair way to portray that environment was to cast somebody from there. So that was an obstruction that I imposed to myself. And during many years, about 4 years, I was going to school every year with some kind of frequency to study the kids and observe them and shoot some footage of them and sort of do some charisma studies, as I would say. And then I was able to, I went so many years because I always thought I was going to get the money to make the film, but then it never happened, and it only happened 4 years later. And it was the most welcoming class, so I was very lucky. There were many musicians in that class, so I started the casting process through them because they already were artists and they were natural performers. And they were very curious and very interested in the film, so I put together a group of 9 and I did some workshops with them. And it was really hard to decide who was going to be the leads because 4 of them were great and they could do it. And each of them would result in a different film. And the reason why it was so tricky because he's kind of an alter ego, you know. He's so much based on my experience and my memories on myself. And I had a hard time isolating what would be the essential characteristic of this character because I know there's so many things that I am, you know.
You had to see yourself in that person almost.
Yes, and physically speaking, Thales was very different from what I had imagined of the character. But I really love to surprise myself in the casting process, and I allow for that. I eventually understood that maybe 3 weeks before shooting, I understood that he had this essential quality, which was the sincerity. He was a very sincere boy, to the point of almost being naive, I think. And also he had this like desperate urge to see the roads and to meet girls. And I thought that was really important for the character. And I think he's a true revelation, actually. I think he does a wonderful job. I'm very happy about it.
And, you know, when people go and see this film, obviously, you know, we're premiering it on the week of the World Cup, and we've got, you know, there's lots of excitement about Brazil. But, you know, when people go in and see this film, what do you hope they take away from it?
Well, I hope they enjoy it. I hope they enjoy the story. You know, it's really simple film in a way. It's very classical narrative film. I hope they learn 1 or 2 things about Brazil. I try to be as specific as I could. You know, it's to portray these worlds that I know so well in a very authentic way. And they say that the more specific you are, the more universal you can be, right? So that's my hope. I hope that they can connect to the story, even though it takes place in such a faraway place, you know, and they can relate to it. They basically relate to the coming of age story of this boy who wants freedom and wants to experience a more authentic life outside of this very overprotective environments of the Casa Grande, of the gates of the big house. And I think that's it's a very universal theme, you know, that many people can connect to, and it's just really amplified in a way that's like I said, it's very specific. I mean, for instance, it's amplified because it's hard to see a 17-year-old boy who has never taken the public transportation, the public bus. You know, it's almost like it's like too ironic, but it's. I believe good drama is in the exception, right? I had a teacher who used to say that, a mentor at the Sundance Labs, where I did the workshops at Sundance with this project, and one of the mentors said that the cinema is the place of exception. So he's an exception, this kid, but through the exception you can dramatize the norm in a way, you know. It's like how do you dramatize a society where no one smokes, for instance, by having one guy who does? You know, it's like it's a little bit like that. I think. How do you dramatize? In this particular case, how do you dramatize the story of of an of a very overprotected boy? I mean, I'm going off on a tangent now, but you got it right. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And where does the film go from here? Where do you head next?
Well, next festivals are Taipei, and then Munich, and then Latin Beats at the Lincoln Center in New York. We're gonna be opening nights there. It was just announced today.
Congratulations! That's huge.
Yeah, that's
You're
nice.
Going back to where it kind of all began, almost.
I know it's gonna be homecoming for me for sure because yeah, I lived there in New York for 9 years, and then we have Armenia, right after in July, and then we premiere finally in Brazil. We haven't showed the film in Brazil yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're gonna premiere the film in the last week of July. So that's all July, you know, and then we have confirmed a few others afterwards. So it's going really well.
So you're not going to be home at all for the World Cup, by the sounds of it.
I'm not going. I'm not going from here straight to Taipei. I'm going back home for 5 days. So I'm gonna be there for 5 days during the World Cup.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean it's okay. I love soccer and everything, but there's a very big sort of climate of protest there right now against FIFA and like the 21st century imperialists.
Yeah, as it should be.
Yeah, and then if I'm there, I'm probably going to be protesting.
Fair enough. And
So
while you're watching the game out of the corner of your eye.
yeah, exactly, of course.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.